As an empath, I make a few mistakes when it comes to setting boundaries, and one of them is thinking that by saying no to someone, they will do exactly what you tell them to do. Saying no is not enough. Setting boundary is more than telling someone no. There are many other things that are important when it comes to setting boundaries, and one of them is action. If you don't support your no with action, people may think that there is still room for negotiation. I used to get very irritated by cold calls from banks or insurance agent. Even though I told them, no, I'm not interested, they will still continue to talk. I remember one night I was very busy at work. I was working late in the office as an auditor, and I received such a call. By the end of the call, I felt so frustrated. In my mind, I was like, doesn't he understand the word no? Just check the dictionary. What does the word no means? He doesn't respect my time. I still have so much work to do. There's a lot of chatter in my mind. Then I realized something important. It's not because he doesn't respect my time. It's because I don't respect my own time. I could have ended the call after saying no, but out of politeness and not wanting to cut people off from their conversation, I stay on the call. My action didn't support what I said. I say no, but I still give him my time and my attention. And most importantly, I spent so much time complaining about him after the call. In my mind, I could use that time to complete my work and go back home early. I didn't value my time enough. As empath, we tend to focus on the other people. Even though when we set boundaries, our focus is about what the other party should not do. But let's turn this around. Instead of focusing on what you don't want, focus on what you want. Instead of focusing on what the other party should not do, focus on what you can do. Boundaries are not always what we say no to, but what we say yes to. When we say no to someone or something, you are actually saying yes to something else. As an empath, it will be difficult to know what your boundaries are when you don't even know what your values are. So what is the yes for you? What do you value? Do you value your own time? Do you value your own quiet space, your own energetic feel? Do you value your own well-being, your own health? If you value all of these things, what will you do if they are compromised? When we think of setting boundaries, we often have this misconception that we're setting boundaries for others to follow. But when we do that, we are rolling the dice because other people's actions are beyond our control. And if we are always dependent on the other party to comply with our boundaries, we are in their mercy. So let's change this perspective and set boundaries for ourselves instead of other people. An individual is allowed to talk down to us or criticize us, but we are not going to be there to listen. We are not going to just sit there and receive this negativity. We are just going to walk away and let them just talk to the wall. One mistake I made is thinking that if you state your boundaries once, people will get it. In reality, you have to repeat your boundaries several times and support it with action before others will eventually get it. People will go to their default mode, their habitual ways. It's difficult for someone to change their habits. Like my dad used to have this belief that criticism will help someone to grow, and so he has this habit of pointing out other people's mistakes. But whenever he did that, I just walk away. Over a few years of enough repetition, he eventually toned down his words when he talked to me, and we have a wonderful relationship after that. You will have to train other people how to treat you properly over time. It's not a one-off event. And for some people, they just won't get it unless you are very, very clear with them. For example, once I have an old schoolmate that sent me a text and asked me for some context. He has some wine to sell. I reply saying that I don't have many contacts, but I will recommend someone to you if someone is interested. Then what happened is the next time he asked me to recommend another thing, to sell another thing, and then another, and then another. I say no to wine doesn't mean that I say no to other products, right? So I make two mistakes here. First, I assume that by saying I don't have many contacts, he will back off. He will naturally find someone else with more contacts. Second, I try to soften the rejection by saying, Oh, I'll recommend someone to you if someone is interested. I gave him false hope that I'm willing to help him when I didn't have the intention to do so, and that's why he kept coming back to me. If only I was more honest and clear up front, saying something like, hey, can you stop asking me to recommend your products to my friends? It's just not something that I like to do. Things would have been much easier. When you say no to someone, don't try to soften the rejection and try to take care of how they feel. You don't have to explain why you say no and hope they understand where you're coming from. I used to write very long messages and overthink when I try to reject someone. The better way of rejecting someone is to just say no. It's not aligned with my vision, it's not aligned with my intuition, my value, or my vibe. That's it. And then just move on. You don't have to explain so much. Or worse still, get the other person to see why they shouldn't do what they're doing. You will just get into a much deeper entanglement with them. When you say no, you must really make sure that you truly mean no. If you say no and later you backpedal or change your mind, your no will have less weight and credibility in the future. People will think that with some persuasion and influence, they may be able to get you to say yes eventually. So only say no when you are really firm about it. One mistake I made is to think that I have to give someone an answer immediately when they ask me for a favor. Most of the time as an empath, I may not be clear with what I want and what I don't want. By default, I may say yes when I don't really mean it. But I also don't want to tell other people no when I don't have a clear understanding of what I really want to do. Sometimes I could be saying no because of fear. So when usually this happens, I will ask for a day or two to let me think about it, let me sleep on it, and I'll just get back to the person when I have an answer. If they don't allow me to have the time to think about it, then I know that my answer is no, because I value people who respect my decision. And sometimes boundaries are not so clear cut. For example, if you don't like someone to be late, or you think that they should at least text you if they are late or they are not coming. But what if someone is late for 3 hours and their loved one has an emergency? They totally forget about your meeting. Are you going to be angry with them for being late and not sending you a text when they cannot make it? We can't plan our boundaries in advance. You may not know how you feel about a situation until when you are inside the situation. The most clear indicator if someone crosses your boundary is how you feel in the moment. If you feel angry and outraged, then you know that your boundaries has been crossed. We cannot be saying no to everything because we are afraid or assume that other people will take advantage of us when we say yes. That will make our life very rigid and dull. We will not be open to any new experiences. I feel that the better way will be to check into our intuition, our vibe, to see whether is it a yes or a no. At this moment, maybe I'm open to taking your suggestion. Then it will be a green light for me. But in another moment, the same suggestion may be a red light for me. Only things that truly matters to us needs boundaries. But for most things, we can rely on our intuition to make the decision. If you want to learn to be more intuitive, watch this playlist on intuition and subscribe to this channel for more videos.